Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. I don't know how Piers pulled this one off, but he was able to get a debate between Randy Fine, who is to put it mildly, the most pro-Israel congressman in the United States Congress, which is hard to even fathom when you really think about that, and Cenk Uygur, who is, of course, very pro-Palestinian, and it was completely insane. Basically, Piers is interviewing Randy Fine, who's saying just totally insane, totally unhinged, deranged propaganda. Let's be honest. He said some insane stuff. And then he just randomly says, oh, Cenk is right here. You called him a barbarian yesterday. Let's see what he has to say. And you can tell Randy Fine's like, whoa, caught off guard. So I do have to tip my cap to Piers. That was pretty impressive to get that done. But again, very slick. And notice how, the rhetoric people like Randy Fine use. And we're going to show you the clips here. He called Cenk a barbarian, just totally bigoted and pretty disgusting language. And imagine it was the other way around. And Cenk was calling him Jewish slurs, what Randy Fine would be saying. It would be like a national news story. But of course, anti-Islamic bigotry, Randy Fine is able to use it all the time. He literally called for nuking the Gaza Strip. Imagine Rashida Tlaib said the same thing, but about Israel. They would be thrown out of Congress and arrested. Okay, it's totally ridiculous. And again, just to give you an idea of how insane Randy Fine is, this is the same guy that said he wants to nuke the Gaza Strip. He said, you know what? The United States do what they had to do in Hiroshima, advocating they should nuke the Gaza Strip. And then he actually said this, guys, and he was being totally serious. Okay, maybe we shouldn't nuke the Gaza Strip because the fallout would get into Israel. So he doesn't give an F, guys, about the actual Palestinian civilians. And frankly, that just tells you all you have to know about Randy Fine. He supports the starvation of people in the Gaza Strip. He literally, again, this is not me saying this, he literally posted, it's on his Twitter account, starve away. This guy's totally nuts. Okay, so here's a clip and we'll talk about it in just a second. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. If you want to give a super thanks, you can do that below. Join the community, become a member. You can also do that. Patreon's below as well. And of course, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Here's the first clip, and we'll talk about it in just a second.
In the history of the world, and we have too many people coming here who do not believe that, starting with Mandami himself.
You said yesterday that Cenk Uygur, one of our panelists today, is an invader. What did you mean by that?
I think it's a great example. I actually talked in that post about Mandami. I talked about Ilhan Omar. I talked about the gentleman you recognize. These are all wealthy foreigners who moved to the United States and then constantly talk about how bad it is. He made a post saying I should be deported to Israel, that I have dual loyalty. My family's from America. I was born here. My parents were born here. Most of my grandparents were born here. My relatives that came here over 100 years ago came because they were desperate to be part of the greatest country in the history of the world. They did not come and then go on constantly about how bad it is and about how terrible it is and about how things need to change. If folks want to come to America, they should love it, they should share its values, and they should want to add value immediately. And far too many people who are coming do not share those values, and I believe it is a threat. The barbarians are no longer at the gate. They are now inside.
Wow. So you're calling Cenk Uygur a barbarian. Well, given he's here, let me bring him into this. Cenk, what is your response to that?
Yeah, no, I don't mind because I agree that there are barbarians inside the gate, and that's Randy Fine. Randy Fine is a sick terrorist sympathizer. In fact, if he wants America to do terrorism on Israel's behalf, he has said we should nuke Gaza. That's killing millions of innocent children. And human beings and civilians, but he doesn't care. He only cares about Israeli lives. By the way, the Israelis have murdered now nearly a dozen Americans in the West Bank. No accountability from our government. And people like Randy Fine say we owe Israel. We owe Israel a genocide. We owe Israel $300 billion. We owe them no accountability at all when they kill American citizens. They had a pervert Israeli government official that came here in Vegas and tried to rape our children, and we let him go. That's insane. Randy Fine, are you asking for the sick Israeli government to return the pedophile so he could face justice here? No, Randy Fine represents Israel, not America. Everybody knows that. He also said we should starve all the Gazans. So he's right. There's a sickness inside our government. AIPAC and the Israeli lobby have given to 90% of Congress. They've given him $500,000, and that was a giant waste because he works for Israel already. So, Randy, we're all sick of your terrorist sympathies towards Israel. They have committed 75 October 7th. Their civilian kill ratio is 83%, worse than Hamas, worse than any terrorist organization. They have murdered 256 journalists, more than all other conflicts combined. They murdered 104 people today, including 46 children. They burned them alive. And we're sick of Israeli terrorism, and we're sick of people like you forcing good Americans Palestinians. I love this country. I didn't come here to be an occupied territory of Israel. I came here because I love America and the freedom and the equality and the justice that comes with it. If you think your grandparents who came here were not loyal to America, that's your business. But no, most of the people that come here come because we absolutely love this country and not Israel. Why don't you go to the Knesset, brother? Everybody knows you love Israel and you despise Palestinians and you love Israeli terrorism. So why don't you move to Tel Aviv already?
Okay. All right, Cenk, let Randy Fine respond. Randy.
Well, thank you, Piers, and thank you for the surprise debate. I actually enjoy that. Look, there's a concept in Islam called taqiyya where you're allowed to lie in advance of your political views. And you just got a great crash course. All of those things were nonsense. But the notion that I am more loyal to Israel than I am the United States is part of it. Israel is fighting a war of civilization on our behalf. The reason we need a Jewish state of Israel is because of the Muslims that surround it. And so I stand with Israel because I believe Israel is fighting the same fight that we have here in the United States, the same fight that people like Mandami and Cenk, wealthy Muslims who move here in order to change the complex and the nature of our country, are going to do it. And I won't apologize for that. I am very proud of my views. I'm very proud of my faith. I'm proud to be the first member of Congress in the history of the United States to wear a yarmulke, which you may be able to see on my head. And I know that drives them crazy because we're not supposed to do that. But they gave me the nickname the Hebrew Hammer for a reason, and I'm not going to be afraid to use it.
But Randy Fine, when you said I don't give a shit, hang on, Cenk. Randy Fine, when you said I don't give a shit about Gazans, were you proud of that statement?
Well, I think the context there is Gaza attacked Israel on October 7th. Of the thousands of people who streamed across the border to kill every man, woman, and child that they could, many of them, thousands of them, were not, quote unquote, card-carrying members of Hamas. And so when you start a war and you are losing the war, if you do not like what that is doing to you, then you surrender in that war. Gaza chose to be the enemy. Gaza chose to attack Western civilization. And no, I didn't care what happened. It was my view that if they didn't like it, they needed to surrender. Something, by the way, they still haven't done, because yesterday the Gazans killed another IDF soldier in a place that even under the peace deal, they are allowed to be. I don't care historically about the Germans.
Randy Fine. I've not had actually any guest. I have to be honest here. I've not had any guest who has used the phrase Gazans rather than Hamas, given it was specifically Hamas that perpetrated the appalling terror attacks on October the 7th. It is Hamas that has the governmental power still in Gaza. It's not the Gazan people. It's not the civilian population. So why are you deliberately conflating Gazans in totality with Hamas when Hamas numbers maybe 40, 50,000 maximum?
Okay, guys. So again, Randy Fine is completely extremist, on the issue of Israel. There's no question about it. Again, notice how the rhetoric he uses. And by the way, again, speaking about what he said in the past about his willingness to nuke the Gaza Strip, not caring about the Palestinian civilians whatsoever, calling for them to starve away. He also, again, replied before he even won the Congress, basically became a congressman. He replied to a picture of a dead Palestinian child, and he said, "That's great. I'm going to sleep great tonight." That is the person Randy Fine is, just so you guys know. And the fact that, and this is a guy who is endorsed and just got re-endorsed by Trump for the next election. Trump calling him a great America First congressman, saying he's amazing and he's awesome. So that just goes to show you where the president is on this issue and where his priorities are. So totally ridiculous. Notice what he's saying, Muslim terror. It's all the Muslims causing the problem. That's what Randy Fine and his propaganda is trying to push. It's nothing. Israel can do nothing wrong. It's always someone else. And again, he wants to deport Zoran Mamdani. Because, again, he doesn't want an anti-Israel person to become the mayor of New York. By the way, Randy, you're from Florida? Why the F are you talking about what's going on in New York City? Mind your own business, okay? I don't know why you should have an opinion. You're not from New York. It's a disgrace. So keep your mouth shut, in my opinion. Why the hell are you talking about the affairs in New York City? You should be focusing on Florida, but nobody even knows you're a congressman from Florida because you're just talking about Israel all the time. And, again, it's so ridiculous, too, where, again, it's a shock debate. And his arguments are all totally ridiculous. He bigoted attacks against Cenk, calling him a barbarian. Are you kidding me right now? It's just totally ridiculous. And notice how he also says Israel is fighting a war of civilization. They're fighting a war for the United States. What the hell of a threat is Hamas to the United States? That is ridiculous. Hamas is not a threat. Hamas is a threat to Israel, not the United States. That is a totally ridiculous line. If you want to say, oh, okay, we got to destroy Hamas, okay, fine. You can say that. The idea that you're fighting it for the United States, no, that's not true at all. That's not true in the slightest, Randy, okay? And again, he said he's proud of his views too. He said, I'm super proud of my views. So that includes nuking the Gaza Strip. And Piers maybe could have pushed him a little harder on some of these issues, but he did not. And again, notice how he brings up, Yeah, you want to make you can't wear the yarmulke. Why don't you say something, Cenk? He's trying Cenk didn't say anything about that. You brought it up. The Hebrew hammer. And by the way, guys, notice how he's wearing a hammer pin on his chest. Okay, that he's literally wearing a hammer chest. So he's like proudly, and he has a right to do that. He can do that. But again, he's trying to like bait Cenk to like attack him. That's not what Cenk was doing at all. It's Randy who's the one using the bigoted attacks. Okay, and again, Katie Miller, who's also Stephen Miller's wife, was on this panel, basically calling out Cenk for doing bigoted attacks. I mean, think of that. Stephen Miller's wife is saying that. Think how insane of a comment that is from Stephen Miller's wife, of all people. Okay, and again, notice how he talks to. He's totally for collective punishment. A lot of the pro-Israel people, hey, they even concede. Okay, yeah, obviously it's not all the Palestinian civilians, it's Hamas. Okay, fine. Randy Fine does not even go that way. He literally says, you know, well, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's all the Gazans. They're the one. I don't really care about the German civilians either in World War II. So his argument is, I don't really care what happens to any Gazan civilian. They're not civilians. They're all part of it. They're all complicit. That includes over half the population, which is children. Pretty disgusting, if you ask me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think it's pretty gross. And it's really disgusting. And we're going to show you, and even Piers is like shocked by this too. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to show you the second part of this clip here. Here it is, guys, and it gets even crazier. Here's a clip.
Across the border on October 7th were not members of Hamas. That has been well established. Thousands of people came across the border who went across the border on October 7th were not members of Hamas. That has been well established. Thousands of people came across the border who were so-called civilians. And second, polling just came out today. Polling just came out today that said if an election were held in Gaza today, Hamas would win overwhelmingly. Does that mean every Gazan supports Hamas? No, it does not. But to try to differentiate the two attempts to imply that some small percentage of Gazans support or like Hamas, that is not what the data suggests. And we should not allow us to say these two are completely different, Gazans and Hamas, because they are not.
All right. So Randy, fine. So when, for example, the United States, along with my country, the United Kingdom, and others, waged what many believe to have been an illegal war against Iraq in 2003, with the catastrophic consequences of 1 million deaths, the rise of ISIS, and so on. Is your position then that in that circumstance, every single civilian American is equally culpable to the military that waged that illegal war, and therefore any repercussions against any Americans on mainland America would be justified? Because that's what you're saying.
No, it's not what I'm saying. But I would note in the war that Israel has fought against Gaza, the percentage of civilians who have died versus the percentage of combatants is far lower than we saw in that war. Yet the outrage perpetrated against Israel in a war where almost 1,000 IDF soldiers have died in order to minimize the casualties in Gaza. If Israel had wanted to wipe Gaza off the map, it could have done that. But it didn't because it wanted to minimize the death that was over there. The only difference between Gaza and Israel is Israel has the capability to do what it is accused of and chooses not to. Gaza does not have the capability to execute the genocide that it wants to because Israel stops it. That is the fundamental difference between the two sides.
All right, Cenk, your final response before we let Randy Fine go.
Yeah, so as you've seen, he's constantly referring to the Muslims that surround Israel. They're the real problem. It's open bigotry. He's not even hiding it. And then he'll go and hide behind the human shields of good, innocent Jewish Americans and say, oh, no, if you criticize Israel, you're actually criticizing Jewish Americans, which no one did. It's the dirtiest trick in the using the anti-Semitism card to protect his form of terrorism that he supports, which Jewish Americans do not support. And so he says it's okay to kill the Gazans, which is collective punishment. He's not only said to nuke them and starve them, but he just said it right here on this air. He's a deeply sick man who wants to put a moral stain on this country by forcing us to fund the genocide of the Palestinians. They have already done 75 October 7th, but it's never enough murder for Randy Fine. They've already killed a stadium full. Imagine 20,000 murdered children lit on fire. Their heads exploded. Israel did all of that. And Randy Fine is saying it's not enough. Americans, go work another shift because you got to send Israel more money to kill more Palestinian children and put that on America's soul. Don't listen to this guy. He doesn't believe in America. His whole point is to make sure that we fund his beloved Israel and their sick, disgusting terrorism.
Just call me a dirty
Israel
Jew.
is the largest terrorist entity.
Brought it out. Come on, just
nobody
do it.
said that. You're the only one who says it. You're the sick, disgusting Muslim bigot. No one wants anti-Semitism. The only person who wants anti-Semitism is you because you want to hide behind it. You bring up your yarmulke when no one else did. No one minds your yarmulke except you brought it up as if like you're some sort of victim. You're the one who wants to nuke over 1 million people.
I'm not a victim at all.
You're not a victim. You're a disgusting terrorist sympathizer.
Like you.
And you should not be inside the United States Congress. You are a stain on this country.
And all of your fellow invaders
you are trying to occupy America, so will you steal our money
I was born here.
to send
We're not
money over
occupying
to
it.
Israel to steal Palestinian and Arab and Muslim land? And on top of that, Piers, one thing that's important is pro-Israel people like Randy Fine have spread hatred and fear of Muslims in this country my entire life. They have tried to get everyone to hate Muslims so that they could say, oh, look, now that Israel is defending Western civilization, you should murder all the Muslims and you should let Israel take all of their land because we are defending.
Okay, so again, notice also how he brings up polling. Oh, this polling shows that the Gazan population actually would vote for Hamas right now. Okay, first of all, how would you even conduct a poll in the Gaza Strip? I'd love to know how that's even done, considering a lot of them are under the rubble. But Randy Fine seems to think these are all accurate polls, of course. So that's ridiculous, obviously. Not to mention over half of them are children. So he's basically saying they're complicit as well. Again, you could just tell he views them as less than human. It's very obvious. It's just, to me, I just think it's gross, okay? It's total dehumanization. And again, he literally says Israel wanted to minimize the amount of civilian casualties in the Gaza Strip. I'm not sure that's looking too accurate considering the amount of people who have been killed. And by the way, guys, he also says this ridiculous line. You've heard this from other people. If Israel wanted to, they can just nuke and get rid and destroy the Gaza Strip immediately. They could have done that. Well, they really could not have done that, because if they did do that, that would be the end of the state of Israel. I mean, nobody would, I mean, again, you would have that, you would imagine that would probably end ties between Israel and the United States. I mean, you would hope if a nuclear bomb was dropped. But again, who knows, honestly. But it's scary to say, who knows. But the rest of the world would not accept that, obviously. Israel would be cut off from the rest of the world immediately if they were to do that. So it would not be geopolitically feasible for the Israelis to actually drop an atomic bomb, even if they wanted to. So that argument is ridiculous. And again, this guy, Randy Fine, this is a Trump-endorsed congressman, which just goes to show you how ridiculous the times we're living in right now, okay? And again, very big into language too. He accuses Cenk of exactly what he's doing, calling Cenk an invader. Are you kidding me? He says, oh, he hates America. Cenk Uygur does not hate America. That is such a lie. Totally wild stuff. I thought Cenk got the better of him, no question about it, in this debate. And Randy Fine was obviously shocked too, that he kept looking over like, oh, I didn't know I was be debating Cenk. Well, he calls him out on Twitter, but he doesn't want to talk to him in person. And you can tell he's mad at Piers too for actually surprising him like that. But totally wild stuff. I thought Cenk Uygur did a pretty good job in this debate. Super interesting stuff. Crazy. Randy Fine versus Cenk Uygur. That's absolutely insane. Good for Piers for being able to pull that off. So that's what I got for you guys today. Again, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. And if you want to become a member, hit the join button below. Super thanks below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.